book besties, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Kyan and this is Kyan is Booked. We're talking about one of my favorite series today, and I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I created series Saturday. It was gonna be series Sunday, now it's series Saturday, and I created it specifically so I could sit here for a couple minutes and just gossip about books series that I absolutely love, that I feel like I don't give enough love to on my channel, right? And obviously the first series I'm going to talk about is my favorite series from Heather Long. So if you know, you know, I absolutely adore Heather Long. I did a whole video talking about like where you should start with their backlist, etc. And I'll link it for you. But this one right here is just going to be about the series that like everybody knows is my favorite. And that is the 82nd Street Vandal series, okay? And this series starts with Savage Vandal. And this right here is Emerson. She's our girl. We call her M. We call her a lot of things, but we're not going to spoil anything because I'm trying really hard to create this video without any spoilers. So let's talk about it. Emerson is a ballerina dancer and she is an aerialist. So she does silk work, obviously, and it's a huge part of her story. So she was adopted at a very young age. She doesn't really remember a lot of the early years because of how young that she was adopted. And she was adopted into a very well-off, like rich family. And, you know, when she was adopted, it was just assumed that she was taken care of because, I mean, they have money, they have the resources, they can give her all these things that like a regular family wouldn't be able to give her. And she starts dancing at an early age to kind of escape everything that's going on around her because she sustains a lot of trauma from her adoptive family, physical abuse, mental abuse, etc. And it's a lot of the trauma that like we work through in this book series, right? So we meet up with her. She's performing in Braxton Harbor and these guys show up and one of them like drives her, another one kind of like loiters around the front, and we start seeing things from like their perspective and they're concerned about her and they're like, something's like not adding up. Like, why isn't she happier? Like, why does it seem like she's so miserable type deal? And then it ends up in a situation where somebody who she was close to but like broke things off with tries to kill her, and the guys step in and they end up kidnapping her. So she wakes up and she's inside this warehouse and realizes that a gang of dudes, the 82nd Street Vandals, she doesn't know them as the Vandals at this point, but us as the readers do. And the 82nd Street Vandals have kidnapped her to save her from the world that she's in. It was a little impulsive, but also too, like, she has a deeper meaning to this group, which is something that we learn kind of like early on in the series. If I remember correctly, it's book 2 where you like end of book 1, beginning of book 2, where you kind of get the answers for it. But these guys, like, they call a doctor in and they care for her and they try really hard to give her her space to kind of come to terms with like what happened to her and the situation they pulled her from, and the opportunity to decide whether or not like she wants to go back or if she wants to stay with them. And they try really hard not to influence her choices, even though I don't want to say the things that they're hiding, but the things that they're keeping from her would be a big reason why she would probably want to stay, right? So one thing I will say about like the overall series, which is 9 books, the overall series is like, this is really a story of Emerson's growth. And what I mean by that is that Emerson has been through so much, like so much. And she's really kind of withdrawn within herself, as anybody would, having been through the trauma that she's been through. So she really like withdraws into herself and isn't very open anymore and feels kind of lost and broken and just not really sure like she's worth what these guys are trying to make her feel like she's worth, right? And one thing that I really love, and like I've talked about this extensively with Heather, is the fact that I think that her journey of building herself back and like putting the pieces together and really like owning who she wants to be and like stepping into this person that she's wanted to be for so long, I think is really beautiful. And it's like probably one of my favorite parts of her overall journey. And I just, I love how even as like a heroine, and she's put into some like pretty crazy situations given the fact that like she is hanging out with known gang members and they arguably are one of the strongest, I don't want to say like the strongest gangs on the block. That sounds like very, I don't know. Anyways, they have some enemies and they're in a slight little tiff with some people. So she really does find herself in situations that are, I don't want to say like outlandish or like crazy or anything like that, but you're like, whoa girl, like take care of yourself type deal. So I really do like love the fact that her guys are protective of her and they care for her and they want what's best for her. So they're always gonna be there and like support her. But at the same time, you know, they really let her go on this journey and they really let her find herself and decide if like, is dancing something that she wants to do or was she just using it as an escape? Like, does she even really like it anymore? Like, does she even want to be Emerson Sharp, this like ballerina that is so coveted and everybody wants to go see her? Does she just want like to live a normal life, right? So it's just beautiful too, like the intricacies of how you build this relation, like these relationships, because she ends up with multiple men. This is a reverse harem or a wide choose if you want to say that. I'm not going to confirm or deny all of the guys that she ends up with because a few of them, even headed in like a couple books into the series, you aren't quite sure if she's gonna end up with them or not, which is also something that I liked too, because it didn't feel like any of the relationships were forced. So I didn't feel like reading any of this, like any of the guys weren't the guys for her. Now, did some of the guys have to do a little extra work and get themselves together? Absolutely. But you know, they made poor choices, okay? And you know who you are. Or maybe they don't because they're fictional. I mean, I love the series to the point that like I have a tattoo on my back right here and it says sometimes you have to fall before you can fly, and it has a sparrow because that's one of her nicknames for one of the guys. It's actually a really funny story about how I showed it to Heather, but I digress. We won't get into this because I don't need TikTok to ban, no, not TikTok. I need YouTube to ban this video. So if you love enemies to lovers, if you love, I don't want to say they're secret society, but like gangs do kind of like in the background. So like secret society-ish, gang, little bit of mafia that gets into it, not primarily the plot though. So don't be like, she said it was a mafia. I didn't. Definitely dark. Please check the trigger warnings. Please understand that you're not going to get your happily ever after until you get to the end. And even then it's kind of left open to interpretation, which I really liked. Like, you know, they're happy, but what happens next, you know? And so I really liked that about kind of how this series ended. We're going to talk about my top 3 gentlemen though, because it's pretty apparent early on that these 3 are going to end up. So I don't feel like they're spoilers. So we'll start. And I don't have one of the covers, which is shocking because he's definitely my favorite. So I'll start with Merciless Spy. This is Liam. I love Liam. He's a twin. And if you know, you know, because I don't care who, right? I fall for the twins every time. Like, promise you I'm falling for the twins, okay? So this is Liam. I absolutely adore him. He is like he's secretive, he's broody, he is very possessive, like very bossy, but in very much a I would burn the world down for her way, right? And even for his guys, because what we also have to get to the core of in this series and like really understand that this is very much a found family series, because a lot of them met in foster care and a lot of them built those relationships living in family homes and then like left those family homes and created like a found family for themselves in the Vandals. So that is what is like also too like super important about the series. So there's not anything Liam won't do for them, but there's definitely not anything that he won't do for her, okay? I love Liam. I don't want to say he's like my favorite, although I would argue that he is. Because I love the other 2 I'm about to talk to you about, but there's just something about Liam, like, that's my man, okay? Coming in hot is Liam's brother Rome, Liam's twin brother Rome. And let's be clear, when Heather says she's gonna give us a hot guy on the cover, like, she delivers. So Rome is very, I don't want to say he's like introverted, but he really does pick and choose who he feels like talking to. And that's really what it comes down to, is if he doesn't feel like having a conversation with you, or he doesn't feel like having the conversation would be valuable for him, he just doesn't do it, right? So that's Rome for you. He's an artist, and he has like paint splatters right here on his hand and like on his jackets and things like that. And the boys have like similar tattoos, which I also really like about the twins. But I also just really love the dynamic when it comes to Emerson, because like his artistic side like really speaks to her. And I love the fact that, like, I don't want to say he's always a soft place for her to land, but he's also like, he's always a very like understanding place for her to land. And sometimes, like, without words, he really understands like emotionally where she is. And I feel like that's so important for her, especially as she goes through all of this, right? So you have Liam, who's always willing to like fight with her and put her in her place and be the one that like stands up and has to have that conversation with her and kind of like knocks her back to reality. And you have Rome, that's kind of like a very safe place for her to land. And then, I don't know, like, you're probably gonna be like, girl, why is this not your favorite cover? We love Freddie. I'm not gonna get into it because her relationship with Freddie is like so intricate and so beautiful, and my baby's so broken. And you know, like, you really just, like, there were some points where it just broke my heart to like read his story, because there is so much he goes through. But like in this one, especially in this one, which is Dirty Devil, Emerson and Freddie open up about their trauma, and they have very similar things that they've been through, and just the beauty in them like being there for each other, and Freddie feeling like he's not a screw up, and like he's able to be there for her and like able to care for her and open his heart again, is coming from like the 3 books previous, is just a beautiful thing. And you will never, nobody can make me hate Freddie, okay? Nobody can make me hate him, and nobody can make me hate like the relationship that him and Emerson build. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I wanted to keep Series Saturdays like kind of short, like really talk to you guys about kind of like things I really enjoyed about the series, give you like an overview of it, and depending on how long the series is, like give you a favorite or two. So I hope this makes you want to read the series, because after talking about it, I want to go back and reread it so badly. And I have so many other books that I need to read, but I miss the beautiful relationships that were written in this story, and I miss Em like picking herself back up and creating a beautiful version of herself that she feels like she can love after so long, and just like that support system that she has around herself. So that is my undying love for the 82nd Street Vandals series, and I'm gonna stop it there before I start like talking more and give you more information and accidentally spoil something. So at this point in time, I'm going to say, I hope you are loving Vlogtober. Be sure to check out all the videos that are going up. I'm posting 5 times a week, which we'll see how I'm feeling at the end of the month. But that is all I have for you today. Be sure to comment down below if you're going to start reading the series, so I can check up later and see how you're doing. And if you're not already